Stop wasting molasses. The secret root growth trick. Gardeners are hiding from you. Most gardeners spend hundreds on fertilizers and root boosters, but there's a pantry ingredient that feeds your soil better than almost anything you can buy. Today, I'm going to show you 4 proven ways to use molasses in your garden. Methods that increase root health, feed beneficial microbes, and cost just pennies per application. Even if you've never tried this before, these methods are simple, gentle on plants, and backed by university research. If you're new here, welcome to Zero to Purpose, where we take simple, hands-on steps to live more creatively, sustainably, and intentionally. Grab a tea, settle in, and let's begin. What most people don't realize is that healthy soil isn't just dirt, it's a living ecosystem. And molasses is the key to unlocking its potential. Item 1. Basic Soil Drench Method. The basic soil drench is your simplest starting point, and it's important because it feeds the living ecosystem underground that your plants depend on. When you use this method, you're not feeding the plant directly. You're feeding the billions of microorganisms in the soil that make nutrients available to roots. Think of molasses as a meal for the hard-working bacteria and fungi that break down organic matter and create the conditions roots need to thrive. Without these microbes, even nutrient-rich soil becomes locked up and inaccessible to plants. Molasses contains natural sugars, primarily sucrose, glucose, and fructose, that beneficial bacteria and fungi use as an energy source. When you drench the soil with the molasses solution, these microbes multiply rapidly, sometimes doubling their population within a week. As they feed and reproduce, they produce enzymes that break down complex organic compounds into simpler forms that plant roots can absorb directly. This process also improves soil structure by creating sticky substances that bind soil particles together, increasing water retention and aeration. The result is a root zone that's biologically active, well-drained, and full of nutrients and forms plants can actually use. Here's how to apply the basic soil drench using the 3-step EASE formula. Start by gathering unsulfured blackstrap molasses, available at any grocery store, and mix 2 tablespoons into 1 gallon of warm water. The warm water helps the molasses dissolve completely and distributes it evenly through the solution. Stir thoroughly until no clumps remain. Next, pour the mixture around the base of your plants, soaking the root zone gently, just like you would during normal watering. Focus on the area directly around the stem and extending outward to the drip line where feeder roots are most active. Apply this drench every 2 weeks during the active growing season, typically spring through early fall. More frequent applications can throw off soil pH balance and create an excess of sugars that disrupt microbial diversity. So consistency matters more than frequency. Within 1 week of your first application, soil microbial activity can increase by over 100%, meaning roots gain access to more nutrients without synthetic chemicals. Your plants become more resilient to environmental stress, recover faster from transplanting, and develop stronger, more extensive root systems that anchor them firmly in place. You'll notice plants stand taller, leaves appear darker green, and overall vigor improves dramatically. This method works for vegetables, flowers, fruit trees, shrubs, and even container plants. One small thing that makes a huge difference: mix your molasses with warm water first rather than cold. Cold water causes molasses to clump and sink to the bottom of your watering can, resulting in uneven distribution. Warm water ensures every drop delivers the same concentration of nutrients and sugars, giving microbes consistent fuel throughout the root zone. Item 2. Compost Tea Boost. Compost tea with molasses is a step up from the basic drench, and it's important because you're not just feeding microbes, you're multiplying them exponentially before they even touch the soil. This method creates a living liquid fertilizer packed with billions of beneficial organisms that go to work immediately upon application. While a simple soil drench feeds the microbes already present in your garden, compost tea starts with a concentrated population and explodes their numbers in a controlled environment before introducing them to your plants. When you add molasses to aerated compost tea, the sugar feeds beneficial organisms so they reproduce rapidly in the oxygen-rich water. Within 24 to 48 hours, you end up with billions of helpful bacteria, fungi, protozoa, and nematodes in a single bucket. These organisms work synergistically, each playing a role in nutrient cycling, disease suppression, and root health enhancement. The diversity of life in properly brewed compost tea mirrors a healthy forest floor, where plants thrive without chemical intervention because the biological community is balanced and robust. Here's how to brew compost tea using the 3-step ease formula. Start by placing 2 to 3 cups of finished compost in a 5-gallon bucket. Choose compost that's dark, crumbly, and earthy smelling, as this indicates a mature, biologically diverse product. Add 1 tablespoon of unsulfured blackstrap molasses and fill the bucket with dechlorinated water, leaving a few inches at the top to prevent overflow during aeration. Next, use a small aquarium pump with an air stone to aerate the mixture for 24 to 48 hours. The constant stream of bubbles provides the oxygen that aerobic microbes need to multiply while preventing harmful anaerobic bacteria from taking over. The water should remain frothy and smell earthy throughout the brewing process. If it develops a foul, sulfurous odor, the tea has gone anaerobic and should be discarded. To maintain microbial health, apply the finished tea as a soil drench within 4 hours of turning off the pump. Use it twice yearly, once in spring before planting to inoculate the soil with beneficial organisms, and once in fall after harvest to prepare beds for winter dormancy and early spring activation. This creates a living fertilizer that improves soil structure by increasing aggregation, boosts water retention by promoting fungal networks that hold moisture, and delivers nutrients in forms plants can immediately absorb. The microbial diversity introduced through compost tea also suppresses soil-borne diseases by outcompeting pathogens for resources and producing natural antibiotics that protect root systems. Plants treated with compost tea show faster germination rates, stronger seedling establishment, and greater resistance to drought and pest pressure. One thing that makes a huge difference: if your tap water contains chlorine or chloramine, let it sit in an open container overnight before brewing your tea. Chlorine evaporates naturally within 24 hours, but chloramine requires longer exposure or the addition of a dechlorination tablet. These chemicals kill the beneficial microbes you're trying to cultivate, rendering your tea ineffective or even harmful by allowing opportunistic pathogens to dominate in the absence of beneficial competition. Item 3. Foliar Spray for stress relief. A foliar spray delivers nutrients directly through leaf surfaces, and it matters because plants absorb sugars and minerals faster this way, especially during stressful periods when root uptake is compromised. Foliar feeding bypasses the soil entirely, providing instant relief to plants suffering from heat stress, transplant shock, pest damage, or nutrient deficiencies. While roots remain the primary nutrient highway under normal conditions, leaves can absorb dissolved nutrients within hours, making foliar sprays one of the fastest ways to revive struggling plants and boost overall vitality. When sprayed on leaves, the nutrients in molasses are absorbed immediately through tiny pores called stomata that open during cooler parts of the day to exchange gases. The natural sugars provide quick energy that helps plants recover from environmental stress by fueling metabolic processes like photosynthesis and cell division. Molasses also contains essential minerals including iron, magnesium, calcium, and potassium that strengthen leaf tissue, improve chlorophyll production, and enhance the plant's ability to withstand future stress. Additionally, the slightly sticky film left by molasses on leaf surfaces can deter soft-bodied pests like aphids and whiteflies, which dislike the texture and often relocate to untreated plants. Here's how to apply a foliar spray using the 3-step ease formula. Start by mixing 2 tablespoons of unsulfured blackstrap molasses per gallon of water in a clean spray bottle or garden sprayer. Shake or stir thoroughly to ensure complete dissolution. Strain the mixture through a fine mesh or cheesecloth if using a pump sprayer to prevent clogging the nozzle. Next, spray leaves early in the morning or late in the evening when temperatures are cool and stomata are open for maximum absorption. Avoid midday applications, as intense sunlight can cause the liquid to evaporate too quickly or even burn leaf tissue by magnifying UV rays. Coat both the top and undersides of foliage lightly, aiming for even coverage without creating heavy drips that run off and waste product. Focus particularly on the undersides where stomata are most concentrated. To maintain effectiveness, apply monthly during active growth periods when plants are building new tissue and flowering. Increase frequency to weekly if plants show visible signs of stress such as wilting, yellowing leaves, or slowed growth, as this indicates their need for immediate nutritional support beyond what roots can provide. Plants treated with molasses foliar spray green up faster, often within 48 to 72 hours, as chlorophyll production ramps up in response to the influx of magnesium and iron. You'll notice improved vigor, with leaves appearing thicker, more resilient, and better able to photosynthesize efficiently, even under less than ideal conditions. The treatment is gentle enough for sensitive crops like tomatoes, peppers, roses, and ornamental flowers, yet effective enough to produce measurable improvements in growth rate and yield. Molasses is naturally sticky, so it helps other organic treatments like liquid seaweed, fish emulsion, or neem oil cling to leaves longer, extending their contact time and improving overall effectiveness. One small thing that makes a huge difference: always test your foliar spray on a few leaves first, and wait 24 hours to check for adverse reactions before treating the entire plant. While molasses is generally safe, some plants with particularly delicate foliage or those already stressed may react poorly to any foliar application, and it's better to discover this on a small scale rather than risking widespread damage.
If this is inspiring some ideas for you, tap the like button so more people can find it. And tell me in the comments, are you already using molasses in your garden, or is this brand new to you? I love seeing what you're working on and hearing about your successes. Your experience might be exactly what another gardener needs to hear today. If you're finding value here, subscribe to Zero to Purpose so you don't miss future tips. Let's keep growing together.
Item 4. Pre-planting soil conditioner. Conditioning soil with molasses before planting sets your garden up for long-term success, and it matters because you're building a thriving microbial community before roots even enter the ground. This proactive approach ensures that from the moment a seed germinates or a transplant takes hold, the soil environment is already teeming with beneficial organisms ready to support growth. Rather than waiting for microbes to slowly colonize after planting, you're giving them a head start, creating optimal conditions that accelerate establishment and reduce the stress plants experience during their most vulnerable early stages. Applying molasses 1 to 2 weeks before planting gives beneficial organisms time to colonize the soil and break down organic matter into plant-available nutrients. During this pre-planting window, bacteria and fungi feed on the sugars in molasses, multiply rapidly, and begin transforming complex organic compounds in compost, manure, or cover crop residues into simpler forms like nitrates, phosphates, and potassium ions that roots can absorb immediately. By planting time, the soil is biologically active, structurally improved, and nutrient-rich, giving seeds and transplants the best possible start. This method is particularly valuable in new garden beds, depleted soils, or areas where previous crops struggled due to poor microbial diversity. Here's how to condition soil before planting using the 3-step ease formula. Start by calculating your bed size and using half a cup of liquid molasses per 1,000 square feet as a baseline measurement. For smaller beds, scale down proportionally, for example, 1/4 cup for a 500 square foot area. Mix the molasses in water following the standard ratio of 2 tablespoons per gallon, then multiply the volume to match your bed size. For large areas, use a watering can or hose end sprayer for efficient application. Next, drench your prepared beds thoroughly, ensuring the solution penetrates at least 6 inches deep, where root activity will be most intense. Water slowly to allow absorption rather than runoff, particularly if your soil is compacted or dry. If you've recently tilled or turned the soil, the molasses solution will penetrate more easily and distribute evenly throughout the root zone. Finally, maintain microbial activity by watering normally during the 7 to 14-day waiting period before planting. Microbes need consistent moisture to remain active and continue their work breaking down organic matter and cycling nutrients. If the soil dries out completely, microbial populations crash and you lose the benefit of preconditioning. Your seedlings will establish faster with significantly less transplant shock, and you'll observe stronger early growth because roots immediately access a nutrient-rich, biologically active soil environment. Instead of spending their first few weeks struggling to develop a functional root system in dormant soil, plants hit the ground running, channeling energy into above-ground growth, leaf development, and early flowering. Over time, gardens conditioned with molasses before each planting develop richer, darker soil with improved tilth, better drainage, and greater resistance to compaction. The cumulative effect of repeated applications builds soil health year after year, reducing the need for synthetic fertilizers and creating a self-sustaining ecosystem. One thing that makes a huge difference: if you're amending beds with compost, aged manure, or green manure at the same time, add molasses during the incorporation process rather than after. This accelerates the breakdown of organic materials by feeding the microbes responsible for decomposition, and it reduces nitrogen tie-up, a common problem when fresh organic matter temporarily immobilizes nitrogen as microbes consume it during decomposition. Molasses provides alternative carbon, allowing microbes to work without depleting nitrogen that plants need. Priority bonus tip. Here's the thing most gardeners overlook, and it makes a huge difference in whether molasses helps or harms your garden. Always use unsulfured blackstrap molasses, not regular baking molasses or sulfured varieties. This one choice, checking the label for the word unsulfured, ensures you get maximum microbial benefit for the same price and avoid accidentally introducing compounds that damage the very organisms you're trying to support. Sulfured molasses contains sulfur dioxide, a preservative added during processing to extend shelf life and prevent fermentation. While this makes the product more stable for long-term storage in warehouses and on grocery shelves, sulfur dioxide is toxic to beneficial soil bacteria and fungi. When you apply sulfured molasses to your garden, you're essentially poisoning the microbial community, killing off the aerobic organisms that improve soil structure, cycle nutrients, and protect roots from disease. The result is the exact opposite of what you intended: dead soil, stunted root growth, and wasted money. Blackstrap molasses is the concentrated byproduct left after the third boiling of sugarcane or sugar beet juice, and it contains the highest concentration of minerals like iron, calcium, magnesium, and potassium compared to lighter molasses varieties. These minerals are essential for plant metabolism, root development, and enzyme activation. Iron supports chlorophyll production and prevents yellowing. Calcium strengthens cell walls and improves disease resistance. Magnesium is the central atom in chlorophyll molecules, and potassium regulates water uptake and stress tolerance. When you choose blackstrap, you're not just feeding microbes, you're delivering a complete mineral supplement that benefits plants directly. Unsulfured blackstrap molasses is available in any grocery store, usually in the baking aisle near other syrups, or in the health food section alongside supplements. It's often marketed for human consumption due to its high iron content, which makes it ideal for gardening since food-grade quality ensures purity and safety. The price is comparable to regular molasses, typically between $5 and $10 per quart, and a single bottle lasts for months even with regular garden use since you only need small amounts per application. One more thing, avoid fancy gardening-specific molasses products that cost 3 or 4 times more than grocery store blackstrap. They're often the exact same product in different packaging, marketed at a premium to gardeners who assume specialized products work better. Save your money and buy food-grade unsulfured blackstrap. Your soil microbes can't tell the difference, and your wallet will thank you. So whether you're feeding your soil with a simple drench, brewing living compost tea, giving stressed plants a foliar boost, or conditioning beds before planting, molasses is a simple, affordable tool that works with nature, not against it. It's not about expensive products or complicated formulas. It's about understanding what your soil needs and giving it the fuel to take care of your plants. Pick one method from today and try it this week. Start small, maybe just one garden bed or a few container plants. Let it teach you something. Watch how your soil changes, how your plants respond, and how nature fills in the gaps when you support the life beneath the surface. Drop a comment and tell me which method are you trying first. I'd love to hear how it goes for you, and your experience might inspire someone else to take that first step. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and join us here at Zero to Purpose, where we grow life, one simple project at a time. Thanks for being here. See you in the next one. Here's the thing most gardeners overlook. Always use unsulfured blackstrap molasses, not regular baking molasses or sulfured varieties. Sulfured molasses contains sulfur dioxide, which is toxic to beneficial soil bacteria and fungi.